Hi, I'm Luke Schmerberg. I'm a member of the City of Saline Environmental Commission, and here I'm going to show you today how to build a rain barrel. This is one that I made a little bit earlier. All the parts and things here are available at Meijer or Lowe's except for the barrel, and the City of Saline has barrels to give away for free. So I'm going to go through the process of putting one together. There's just a couple tools, and it's something that if I can do it, believe me, pretty much anyone can. So I'm going to go over and start work on it. So these are the parts over here, and this is the barrel, and we're going to start putting two and two together. Just running through the parts really quickly, we have the rain barrel, anything that is 55-gallon and food grade, so nothing that has gas or oil or anything in it like that. Again, if you contact the city, they will help you get a food grade barrel for you to use. First part here, this is a little colander. I think this was $2.99 at Meijer. This collects any leaves and other gunk that comes down the gutters, so you can just quickly scoop it out and dump it to keep your barrel clear. We have a 3/4 inch hose bib. This is what's going to go down in the bottom to unscrew to let water out of your barrel once it's filled. And then we have a bulkhead fitting. This is a two-piece part, and this is what is going to allow us to put the hose into one end of it. This goes on the one side of the barrel. This goes on the inside. They come together and make a nice watertight seal so none of the water leaks out of the bottom when the barrel's full. When the barrel's full, a gallon of water is about 8 pounds. 55 gallons is going to be about 400 pounds of water in here. So it's good to have a pretty tight seal on the bottom because that's a little bit of pressure trying to force its way out. And then the last thing we have for parts is just a piece of fiberglass screen to keep the mosquitoes out. And anywhere that there's a hole, screen's going to go over it. So the first thing to do is to put your hole on top, because as you can see from the top of this barrel, these holes are not big enough to put an arm into to put the actual fitting on the bottom. So we're going to get our colander and get a marker here. We're going to get to the top side of the barrel and put the outline of the colander on top of our barrel. And that'll tell us about how much of a hole we need to have. It's okay if it's a little bit bigger. The colander is supposed to sit a little bit loosely. The screen will help seal in the water from the mosquitoes. Now when it comes to cutting a hole in the plastic, there are a bunch of different options. I have a rotary tool or a Dremel with a cutting bit. You can use a jigsaw, you can also use a drill, and we'll use a drill a little bit later when it comes time to put the bulkhead fitting in. But for this, because this is pretty big, we're going to want to saw it out freehand, and for that, like I said, I have the Dremel. And I have this sort of a bumper of sorts on the Dremel, so I'm not going to go in too far, and that'll keep me from getting a little bit wonky on it. Lets me set it nice and even and get a fairly clean cut on the top. And all the standard safety procedures and rules apply. Make sure you've got glasses on of some sort. I got these, so I'm not getting any safety glasses, but if you don't need regular glasses, make sure you have something to protect your eyes. So we're going to fire this up, and it makes a bit of a racket, especially when it goes into the barrel. So here we go. All right, so we got a little bit of a plug here, just kind of floating around down on the bottom. Get that out. There's all these little burrs and things on the edge from cutting into the PVC. There's a couple different ways to deal with that. You can get a file and just go around and start to smooth these things out. Or you can just get a utility knife or pocket knife of some sort and then just go along the edge and lightly cut. Doesn't take much pressure, especially if it's a sunny day and you leave the barrel outside. It'll soften up the PVC just enough to make cutting off all these burrs nice and easy. We can check our fit here for the colander, and that's good. It's going to sit in there. It's not going to fall in, but it's not going to be too hard to get in or out either. So now we've got our one hole on the top, and it's time to put the hole in the bottom. Now, because this is going to be where there's the watertight fixture, we don't want to be freehanding this one with the Dremel like we were before. We want to be actually putting in a nice round hole, and for that, got to drill with a hole saw, and this hole saw is going to put a 1 3/4 inch size hole down in the bottom of our barrel. When it comes to picking the right size, you just want something that is going to take the business end of your bulkhead fitting and be just barely a little bit larger. Take the barrel, put it on its side, and you want to line up. This is where we have the hole that we drilled in the top. You want to line it up because you're going to have to stick your arm in to work with the barrel. So going right down the middle to about here. My arm isn't long enough to go all the way down to the bottom of the barrel, so I'm going to bring it up just a few inches. If you have an assistant or longer arms, you can go a little bit lower, but better to have a hole that is a little bit higher up and leave a little bit of water in the barrel than have problems trying to get down to do the work. So we've got our drill set to go in, got our barrel steady, and this one's not as noisy as the Dremel, but here we go. All right, and that one, as opposed to the Dremel, you can see makes a really nice, round, even hole. We can check it with the end of our bulkhead fitting. It slides right in, not too much room, not too much trouble getting it in or out. So now, time to put the bulkhead fitting, which is really the whole business here, down into our barrel. We're going to drop this end, which is the outside end. You can see it's got the threads for putting the hose bib in. Drop that in here. Now, the bulkhead fitting itself is reverse threaded, so if you go in and try to screw it in like normal, you're going to be spinning your wheels. So you have to remember that it's reverse threaded, and that's so when you do tighten your hose bib in on the outside, you don't wind up loosening your bulkhead. So put that in, and then just kind of reach down as far as you can. Once you got it there, screw it in, go in the opposite direction. And once you get it there, you don't have to tighten it down all that much. These bulkhead fittings have a nice big rubber washer here, and that's going to do most of the work of keeping everything sealed. So we've got our bulkhead fitting, we've got our 3/4 inch thread there, and now it's just time to do some plumbing. So take our hose bib, some thread tape, just put a couple wraps of thread tape on there so it will help the hose bib thread into the bulkhead fitting and provide a little bit of extra watertight there. So we've got our hose bib, and it just goes in and threads in normally. And once you start to get it here, we could probably go one more time around. And then just get it again hand tight. You don't need to really crank on it with a wrench. The tape is going to do some work to hold the water in. And so we've got our bulkhead fitting, hose bib, and hole in the top to put our colander. Now it just is a matter of patching up all the holes with the screen. There's one more hole to put in the side that I haven't put in, and that is an overflow hole. I didn't put that in here because different people can do that differently. You can have a hose that comes out, you can have a PVC sort of system, what have you, for making sure everything, when it does flow over, it doesn't just run down and spill at the bottom. So this hole here on the one barrel, there's just a cap that screws into it. Some barrels have caps, some don't. If they don't, then that's just one more spot for the screen. Take your screen, and you're going to put the colander in, kind of get a sense for just about how much screen you're going to want. So we have a little bit of excess on the sides. And this is the fiberglass screen, so it's really nice and easy to cut. And we're actually getting rain for our rain barrel right on cue here. Just trim around loosely. Leave enough room for however you want to choose to attach your screen. I've just got staples because I got a staple gun handy. And then just put down a few staples. Keep the mosquitoes from getting out. This sits on top. Anything that flows down the gutters will collect in here. You just pick it up, toss it out. Like I said, it's going to be heavy, about 400 pounds of water, so mount it on some cinder blocks, get it up a little bit so you don't have to try and tilt it back to get the water out of the nozzle. And that's a rain barrel, and right on cue, it's raining. So thank you so much for taking a look at what we have here.